All right, a very good afternoon to everyone who's actually on Positive G channel today, 8th March. Thank you very much for taking 50 minutes off your lunchtime to join us on this program today, which is about finding meaning at work, something that I'm sure is quite interesting to everyone. Poor Snoopy on the screen right there, he's asking where he's going, what he's doing, and my God, what is the meaning of life? A quick introduction of who I am, and then we can get started with the presentation today itself. So what I'm going to do now is put the slideshow on. So a little bit about me. I work at Positive Growth Club, and today I'm the host for your Positive G channel. I'm an associate certified coach, and I practice coaching together with positive psychology. I'm a member of the International Positive Psychology Association, as well as the Canadian Positive Psychology Association. I really enjoy my work in this area, and I think that positive psychology and coaching is a great fit. You can read a little bit more about who I am and what I do on our website, www.positivegrowth.club. And with that, let's get on into the topic proper for today. Have you ever found yourself, wondering, why is it that you groan when the alarm rings on a work day? Why are you putting off those tedious tasks at work? And why do you feel like you've not achieved that much at the end of the workday? These are feelings that sounds familiar. Well, the good news is that you're actually not alone. In a Gallup Worldwide survey in 2013 on the topic of employee engagement, it was found that 76% of employees in Singapore are just showing up at work every day, doing the minimum of what they need to do and not feeling emotionally invested in their companies. And this is one of the highest rates actually around the world. Are we all just like hamsters on a treadmill? And what have we been doing, that did not seem to have helped us, to be more engaged at work? So let's have a quick look at some of the things that we've done. Perhaps we've tried looking for promotions, more money, more benefits. But we know now that, with research, that material rewards have lesser and lesser value to us after a certain point. This is often referred to as the hedonic treadmill. So after an hour on the treadmill, each 10 minutes on top of that hour is actually less effective than the original first 10 minutes that you have. What about if we look for more recognition, more positive feedback? Yeah, it does make us feel good for some time, but eventually the feeling also wears off. And if your work environment is particularly challenging, studies have shown that you need at least 3 times more of such positive experiences to overcome one negative experience, to sustain what is called engaged emotion at work, because such positive experiences are actually transient. What next? We see a lot of organization actually, encouraging people to look to their social culture and team values and expectations. Now, to some point, if we connect to the bigger system, there is a sense of being engaged, but that rings true only if it is actually aligned with our authentic values. And sometimes when we adopt values that we personally do not subscribe to, it can actually lead to a sense of greater disengagement. So the whole employee of the month concept actually really makes you more unhappy than happy before. Right? So all is not lost. Today we are going to zoom in on finding meaning at work to help shift the needle to improve our relationship that we have with work. So we have a choice to make a change. Now, studies have shown that there is a good correlation that when we actually find meaning at work, we stay longer in an organization, we have better work performance, and we show a greater sense of organizational citizenship. Okay? We can clearly identify the meaning that we attribute to work. We will have such positive effects that grow out of it. So let's have a look at, the story about these two groups of cleaning crew that was part of a study done in 2001 by a professor in the University of Yale. In 2001, a study was made with two groups of cleaning crews at a hospital, right? They were being interviewed on how they perceived their jobs. And when both groups were doing exactly the same job, they actually described their job tasks really differently. The first group described their jobs as they were written in their job description. They expressed dislike on the task of cleaning and said that they were just there for the money. So they pretty much sound like the 76% of the disengaged employees that we have in Singapore. Surprisingly, the second group, with exactly the same job title, described their work in a much more positive and meaningful way. Some of them said that, oh yeah, they were there as ambassadors of the hospital. Some of them said, oh, they are there to help patients, doctors, and nurses have a much better experience at the hospital. There were even some who said they were healers. Now, these were the very same people who are doing the same task as the first group of cleaning crew. So what the study found was that group 2 was able to reframe the way they see their jobs. They were crafting their jobs, which included additional tasks. Some of them described bringing flowers from the hospital garden to the patients. Others have actually tried to rearrange, some of the paintings and furniture in the rooms of long-term patients. Now, these are not part of their job description, but they did it anyway. And when asked, they actually said that they were doing it because they were expressing who they are as a person. So it was not because their job required them to do it, but it was because it was who they are as a person. So looking at this contrasting results from two groups of people who are doing exactly the same job roles, we can see some ways that we can distill, all right, from this example, applicable and useful approaches that we ourselves can easily adopt to find and create more meaning at work. And this is something that you can easily do too. So what we call it is RBLE, reframe, bring, expand, live and expand. When you reframe, okay, it really is about how you craft your job tasks, all right? And this could be very specific to the task. It could be related to relationships you have with the job, and also in terms of how you think about the job. So you could reframe your job to include more of your experiences as being in the flow. I think all of us are quite familiar with the concept of flow, which is the state of being engaged and focused. I'll give you another example, the case of Zappos. Zappos is actually an online retailer. And when CEO Tony Xie actually took on the job, he decided to do something pretty radical. So instead of saying that people's job task is about selling shoes online, or if you're at a call center person, he described the work of all the staff in the company as creating a wow customer experience. So he was able to create this concept that actually rings true across the entire organization. And this reframing brought about an entirely different approach that employees took to doing their tasks. The second one is bring your top strengths, all right? Bring about more of your top strengths into your job and find more creative ways to use them. So we can see that actually in the hospital staff example, where people were actually doing things like rearranging furniture and bringing flowers. They were actually trying to use their strengths in terms of making the place look good as part of their cleaning work, but using it in a much more creative way. And the third would be live. Live your personal and authentic values and your personal mission while at work. Think about how you can actually change your interaction with your peers, your clients, and management by doing something that speaks of your identity as a person. And this could be because you're someone who is extremely kind and generous, and you bring that across to your work, your interactions with the people around you. And that in itself will bring about a sense of meaning as you go about your day-to-day tasks. Last but not least, expand. Okay, expanding the benefit influence sphere as well as the stakeholders that you can impact on with the task that you do, and this will help you to see a greater connection with the bigger system. And we've seen that in the hospital example as well, where people were saying they were ambassadors of hospital, or they were there to better the experience of the patients, the doctors, and the nurses. So they were looking at stakeholders well beyond people who are looking at how clean or hygienic the hospital floor is. Let's try out an example of the expansion exercise here so that you can have a better idea of what that means. Now imagine you were a receptionist at a pharmaceutical company, and one of your job tasks is to answer phone calls, right? And you ask yourself, how does my task impact on another person or someone else? And this could be that perhaps the phone call leads to a sales lead. The salesperson picks up the call. He or she converts the sale, and a hospital buys some new drugs from the pharmaceutical. Now, of course, one of the direct benefits will be the company gets revenue, but we've seen earlier how such material rewards might eventually lead to a lower and lower returns. But more importantly, as you extend the question of how does doing my task impact another, and you keep doing so until you find a meaning or a purpose that wows you. For example, hospital treat patients with the new drugs. Patient recovers. The world gets healthier. Someone gets his loved one back. Now, wasn't that a greater sense of meaning than just saying my job is to answer phone calls? I strongly encourage you to try this exercise out and see where it leads you to. It's a very easy way to do this. All you need is a blank piece of paper and just put one of your job tasks in a very objective, clinical way on the very left-hand corner, and just keep asking yourself, how does doing this impact on someone else or impact on something greater? And you get to the next level. And the next level on, you ask yourself, how else can it impact? Until you get to the point where you actually have that wow experience. Well, thank you very much. That was our very quick tidbit from Positive G channel. What are some of the other exercises and workshops available for you and your organization? Of course, tune in to our next session, which is on the 22nd of March, where we will talk about bringing your top strengths at work. Bring your top strengths to work. And for those of you who would like to look at more in-depth workshops for either yourself or your organization, you can have a look at our website, positivegrowth.club. We pronounce it as Positive G. We support changes in mindset and habits. A little bit about us: we focus on activating positivity. We grow best possible selves out of you, and we try to connect you with like-minded peers as support along your journey of change. For organizations, we do workshops on creating organic positive culture, as well as the STAMER framework for corporate well-being, staff performance, and retention. Thank you very much once again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your lunchtime, and I hope to see you again at our next session. For those of you who have some questions, I'll be staying on for another 15 minutes or so. And feel free to post your questions in the chat box or raise your hand and I can have a chat with you.